new Overlords podcast. I'm Max, and this is a video game show where I'm joined every week by the classic version of a podcast host. It's Seema. Hello there, Seema.
So, yeah. Hello, Max. So that's a dig on WoW having so many classic games, but it has like 5 going right now.
Does it? Somebody was posting in one of our channels this morning that it seemed like one of them was gone. It wasn't gone. It was just down for maintenance. Was that it? Or was that for yesterday? So there is
Well, I
still
mean,
3
yes,
classics, right?
at least, but like if you bother to log in to like, I didn't mean it that way, but I mean, if you go all the way in and log in, the servers in Classic are sometimes organized in tabs, right? So like
okay.
across the bottom, there's like you have to go to the hardcore tab to play.
Okay, so
The
you're
hardcore version of
picking
Classic.
classic on the client, and then the server you're picking inside of the client is a hardcore server, a classic anniversary server, Burning Crusade, classic anniversary, Burning Crusade.
Yeah, Burning Crusade Anniversary has its own like thing on the actual menu now, but yes.
Oh, great.
So it's,
breaking
it's the kind of thing where you just kind of have to poke around sometimes if you forget where they are.
Yeah. Sounds par for the course.
Yes. But
I'm
anyway,
not surprised.
it's I was thinking about, this is not a topic, but I was thinking about that this week because like we talk a lot about no new MMOs. MMOs are too hard to make. Well, the current MMOs should just do this.
Right. They should.
Because I'm not convinced that MMO players want new MMOs as much as they want something fun to do.
They don't. This is why old school RuneScape is more popular than RuneScape 3. This is why Guild Wars released Guild Wars 1? Reforged? That just came out a month ago? Yeah. Classic WoW is by all accounts doing gangbusters. And I've heard people ask for SWTOR Classic, which I don't even know what that would be. It's not like this game has been changed very much. I mean, I guess a little bit in like how the specs work and those kinds of things. And remember when we had stats, the like aim and force power or whatever they were.
I've only heard that a couple times, and I always thought it was people who were longing for the kind of game where not everyone could get gear. Like you could only get gear from running ops. And that kind of thing, which I just kind of pass on by that reasoning because, and that means nothing to me when people say, oh, I want my stuff to be special and no one else can get it. That doesn't resonate. I don't go, yeah.
Yeah, that's stinking thinking. All right. Well, we do have a little bit of news today, and then we have something fun to talk about later, and then something fun to talk about after that. We're going to talk about a new game today. So we're going to talk about Star Rupture. I keep wanting to say Star's Reach, which is an MMO that's in development, but is not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about Star Rupture, a new Satisfactory-like game that I played, and I'll tell you about it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been playing, because both Seema and I have been playing some fun stuff, including stuff in Star Wars and Ark and WoW and elsewhere. So we'll talk about those things after the news.
Good news, everyone!
So first up in the news, Anthem is finally officially dead. They're taking down the servers. So this is only mildly interesting to those of us that haven't been playing or following Anthem. I'm sure it's a sad day for the people that have been playing Anthem. And in that, I thought there just were a couple sort of interesting things points to ponder. One of them is that I saw pop up in a couple of the threads, like, on the article even. Sort of like the gamer community came out when Anthem launched and said, this sucks, and we've all decided that this is a terrible game and nobody should play it. However, some people do like it and some people have been playing it, and this is a sad day for them. That sucks. That a game is shutting down. that had a lot of cool parts to it. At a minimum, if not, was a perfectly fine game. And maybe if it wasn't done by EA, would have been a successful game. But people like to hate certain companies as well. But maybe, maybe it had enough problems that it just wasn't worth it. The other part that you and I were talking about, Seema, obviously in the pre-show for longer than the rest of all of what we're prepping for, is this idea of stop killing games. So if
Right.
anyone's not familiar with stop killing games, it's a movement that's a request for proposals on regulation on games that would not allow a game to be published that could later then sort of like be revoked, or a game to be sold as a product that could then later be revoked. And in this case, I don't remember or know. In fact, we can probably check if Anthem had a box price. But you can imagine Anthem has a box price. You're playing on the servers, and they say it's some amount of time, and maybe they even said it, 60 days after launch, this isn't working out. We're going to shut down the servers. You paid $60 for the box price. The servers go offline and the game is unplayable. That's bad. That feels bad. It would, I mean, people should deserve a refund and do deserve a refund and would get a refund if it was soon enough. But in this case, the idea of stop killing games goes much further. And some of the original ideas behind the proposal was game companies could never shut down their service without doing something like providing all of the source code or providing a way for the players to run or re-engineering their product into a single player game so it is never broken and they could always play it in perpetuity.
Right.
That's debatable. That's much more difficult to get to, but this is a case where you could sort of like have that conversation again. It's a tough one. I think, again, it's going to be sad for somebody. I wonder. Yeah. So they stopped downloads at least. Yeah, I do wonder.
So they announced, they gave everyone like 180 days. They said, we're shutting them down on the 12th of January, 2026. You can no longer buy currency. You can spend the currency you have until then. I didn't know about what Forrester just said about they stopped downloads a couple days ago. So for the people who just heard and wanted one last look, that's unfortunate. I don't know why. I don't know the reasoning behind that. But it also makes me think about microtransactions because Anthem had them definitely, cosmetics.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is making me think about that. And I think the way to view when you buy an armor pack, for instance, isn't that you bought the armor pack, it's that you paid for the game to be ongoing for that month or at whatever the period of time is that you're happy with around with what you bought that, because you aren't going to keep that, you aren't going to be able to keep that armor pack ever
Right.
after the game is gone.
It's intangible goods.
Right.
You're paying for the privilege of seeing it on the screen maybe once
during the time that the game is available. Yeah. For playing.
for however long or short that may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Anthem did have a box price, so it
Well,
does fit
I
squarely
mean,
into
more
this.
than that though, you're paying to look at it, but also you're supporting the game. You're paying for the game.
Yes.
Basically, when you do that.
Yeah, which would be my advice to myself. I'm not going to tell anyone else what they should do, but if I was ever going to put out a game that was sort of like a multiplayer game that relied on servers, these days I would put it out for free and fund the ongoing support of the servers through, battle passes, subscription, something like that, some sort of ongoing cost. If everything could be done through a cash shop, then maybe. But again, that gets into that. I bought this armor pack, and you're shutting down the servers the day later. But kind of making it clear that this is an online game, buying a season of the online game and guaranteeing that the servers will be up for the extent of that season, I think is reasonable.
Yeah.
And a fine, kind of like a fine way to position it, and could potentially get around what's being asked for and stop killing games. Because then I'm not selling you Anthem, the product in a box. I'm selling you the January through June happy fun time on Anthem servers. Maybe we're going to keep it going in July. Maybe we're going to keep it going for 10 years. We certainly would want to and try to. But if we can't, you're only paying for January through the June. You're going to get January through June. And then, hopefully we can keep it going after that. Yeah. So think about it. Think about what you think about it. And have those thoughts.
Yeah.
You are entitled to your own thoughts, and make them your own thoughts. You don't have to listen to me. More importantly,
Max.
you don't have to listen to anyone else who has shit takes on everything. You can listen to me. You can listen to Seema. You must listen to Seema. You can listen to me. Don't listen to anybody else.
You can develop your own opinions, and in a way, the people who are playing Anthem up until today are the heroes of this story because they made their own decision.
Yes, they did. They liked what they liked, and they played what they played, and they played what they liked. And that's fine. They didn't look elsewhere for what their opinion should be and go with jump on a bandwagon that says, I'm going to deny myself the opportunity to play this game. Yeah. So next up, as Machete is cheering in the chat room, it sounds like we're going to get at the end of the month, I think, is the Xbox Developer Direct is coming on January 22nd. And in theory, Fable will be heavily featured on that Xbox Direct, as will Forza Horizon 6 for racing fans. But yeah, I'm interested in just to hear some news on Fable and where it's at and what's going on, and what get to see a little bit more on it. Certainly got a little bit of controversy around this game, and it in two directions. One, the dumb controversy is, oh, the main character isn't attractive enough. That was the dumb one, but I think that's just small noise that is blown up by social media. The other bit of controversy is Peter Molyneux. Is he actually going to make a good game? And should we, again, play what you play and like what you like, and don't go the other way necessarily and say, well, because Peter Molyneux is a genius, that we must have the highest expectations possible for a Fable game, because it's impossible for it to be anything else than the best thing ever in the world, because it's quote unquote Peter Molyneux. Same thing with what's his name from Death Stranding. We don't need to be idolizing people and setting these weird, unreasonable expectations and pushing those expectations on either developers, designers, studios. Oh, Bethesda's better than this. This game is crap. Whereas if the game was put out by anybody besides Bethesda, it would have been like, oh, this is a really good game. That's cool. Peter Molyneux's releasing. Yeah, what's the other game? It's some God game. And that's the one that's even more so. And I mean, Peter's causing a little bit of the problem here. What is Peter Molyneux's other game that's coming out this year? Hello, Internet. What is Peter?
Masters of Albion?
Yeah, Masters of Albion. And it's like a god game where you are the god, and you're dragging around sort of putting the villagers in different places and setting up the world and arranging the world and pushing things around as the god of this world, of this Albion world. The way he's talked about this game in a couple interview quotes is, "This is the masterpiece of my life." I think that's like a paraphrased quote. Yeah, that's the wrong way to set expectations, Peter. Don't do that. Cuz that sets the bar too high and you will never be able to reach that bar. So yeah, we're going to wait for these games to come out and we're going to play them, and if we like them, we will like them, and if we don't, we won't. And if someone else likes them or doesn't, that's at best mildly interesting, and at most mildly interesting, and at worst irrelevant. So I did play the original Fable on Xbox One. It wasn't that the Xbox, not Xbox One, Xbox version 1.0. Wasn't Fable on the original Xbox release? I think it was. I've played that. I've played, what else is some of his other old stuff? Populous. I really liked Populous. That, that's going way back. That was like in the 90s, I think, right? I was a big fan of Populous. So yeah, I like his stuff. I like those kind of games. So we'll see. But yeah, don't set your expectations too high. Final bit of news. Hytale was released yesterday, in addition to Star Rupture. And I almost played Hytale yesterday as well, but I did not. Mostly because it is not on Steam. Even so.
And also, I mean, only so many hours in a day.
Yes.
And you played
and I'm very
Star
short on
Rupture.
hours, as I was lamenting in the pre-show, because I'm doing some sticky game dev that's bothering me, making me unhappy, angry. Get angry max today because my stupid load screen in Unreal Engine doesn't work right. Anyway, as of yesterday, at one point, Hytale was the streamed game on Twitch. So it is of interest, even not being on Steam. People just having to like go and seek it out and find it. Most streamed game, maybe that's why it's the most streamed game and not, like most played game. I did think those headlines were interesting. Most streamed game. Okay.
Well, because they have those, because that is an easy stat to get.
And they probably don't have stats on
Right.
how
Like
many
Hytale's not
people
on
are playing,
Steam.
because it's not on
So like
Steam. And
we
people
looked on Steam, it's not there. Oh well.
and people
It's
over
like you have
rely
to be a
these days
journalist.
on Steam charts
Yep.
to do their journalism, because they clicked a saved link in their bookmarks and have decided they've done journalism, myself included. So,
Except that we do not aspire to journalism.
no, we are not journalists. We are entertainers, and barely that. I did watch a Hytale stream for about 5 minutes, and I don't know, man. Do graphics matter?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good
To
question.
me, they do, because I keep watching and going, I don't know. Maybe this is like the most compelling little quests that you're doing here, but I don't like the six polygon people.
I think they matter. Absolutely. But I just think different aspects of them matter to different people. Because like I would rather play a game that was highly stylized like this than one in that for me is in Uncanny Valley. That just bugged me.
Potentially. Then you should play Cassette Boy, which is coming out later this month. Let me find that.
I mean, it doesn't have to like this has an 8-bit look, right? It doesn't have to be that stylized for me, but like Hytale is pretty stylized. It looks nice. I mean, we're talking about Hytale. But yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Cassette Boy.
I mean, I like I mean, I think that's how WoW is. WoW is very stylized, and we've talked about this before. It's allowed it to live forever, right? Because it doesn't. Whereas I feel like Star Wars: The Old Republic went for a more realistic, and so that's why we get the weird facial expressions and stuff, or
Right.
And it bugs me way more when things clip in Star Wars than when they clip in WoW. Like I hardly even notice it in WoW.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't mind the Uncanny Valley compared to I mean, I like a good stylized game that's consistent art style. Yes. But then if I had to skew in a direction of that where the things I like, my window would like start at good stylized and go up to highly realistic, even if it's uncanny valley, versus starting at stylized and going down to 8-bit, which is another direction a lot of
Right.
people like and go.
Right. Yeah, I'm not in love with the 8-bit look at all.
So that's what this new indie game, it's sort of like an indie puzzle game coming out at the end of the month that has a little bit of hype, called Cassette Boy. This is it up on the screen. It's like monochrome 8-bit. And people are like, "Oh my God, this game looks so great." I'm like,
Yeah, and I had to like admit that to myself today when I was thinking about, how from time to time I'll say I wish someone would do like Lemmings again. If you look at the original Lemmings, it was very eight. I mean, like the little lemmings themselves were like 4 polygons.
yeah, not even polygons, pixels.
Pixels, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's people out there that have put up like versions of lemmings that look just like the original, and I was kind of like, no, that's not what I want.
Right.
I want someone to completely remake lemmings, but for it to look decent. And don't add anything. I want it to be what I used to play. But yeah.
There's a picture. A picture. So it's like 5 by 10. So it's like 50 pixels.
Yes.
The little lemming.
But they do kind of have a little personality, don't they?
Yeah, they did a lot with those 50 pixels.
Yep.
You're right. This was a great game. It really was a great game. And very, you really felt smart when you sort of like, because you're like solving it, right? Yeah. Oh, that's a good game. I'm gonna make a Unreal 5 only hands version of Lemmings, and you will hate it. All right, coming soon. In the coming soon news, as we said yesterday, so just like this week, we got Star Rupture, we got Hightail, and we got Burning Crusade Classic. Anniversary Classic. It's Burning Crusade Anniversary Classic, right?
Right.
That's the actual name? Or Anniversary
Something
Classic
like
Burning
so.
Crusade.
Basically, at the end of the year last year, was it last year? They came out with anniversary servers of Classic, and those are the ones that are moving forward to Burning Crusade right now.
Yeah. Okay. And then next week, which I thought was actually yesterday, but I was wrong. So when yesterday I sent a note to Seema that said, "You're going to talk about the WoW pre-patch on the show tomorrow, aren't you?" And she said, "It is not out yet."
It's next week.
So you're going to talk about it next week, though, right? Maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I will
one
have
day.
played it one day.
One day.
Also, next Tuesday will be the end of Remix, which is, I mean, yeah, that always gets me. Like, it got me in the mop remix too. It's sort of like, oh my God, what have I not done? And then all of a sudden, I want to do things that all this time I've been going, that's not important to me. But I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to go, it's still not important to me.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I feel it. I feel the FOMO, and I stopped playing a remix 5 months ago.
I mean, what I didn't realize about Legion when I played it back in the day, well, I'm sure I did realize this, but like if you do the entire Order Hall campaign for that character, then at the end of it there's a mount, and they were mounts that they put a lot of work into. There's something special about each one and all this stuff. And so now I'm thinking, I leveled these characters in Remix to 80 to get their Legion Hall. I could do this other thing the other side project I have. And I thought, I should go back and like get them to the end of the Order Hall campaign, which is not, to me anyway, was not trivial. Like it was easier to get to 80 than it is to finish the Order Hall campaign.
Yeah.
In terms of time spent.
Yeah, especially now with all your bonuses, I'm sure.
And then the actual mount is only available to that class.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Of course, I'm not doing anything.
So the idea of making a Demon Hunter to get the Demon Hunter mount is kind of absurd, right?
On Demon
Because
Hunters only. Yeah.
yeah, in case
That
you're
you don't
thinking
play.
in the future I'm gonna play my Demon Hunter all the time, which is that's not what I'm thinking. But anyway,
Right.
yeah. I
Well,
did do it on a Paladin though.
that'll be coming next week while pre-patch, while midnight pre-patch. I still keep hearing buzz. I will be interested to see what happens with the whole uh, add-ons, add-on
Yes.
Mageddon that is in progress. But people have been playing within the new add-on approach on the test servers for a while, so it's not a surprise to the add-on developers or people that have been like checking it out. There are
I
still
think what the
fiddly
bigger
bits.
surprise is gonna be Stat Squish
Yeah,
because people don't follow the games they're playing and don't read, and they're gonna log in on Tuesday next week, and their character is going to be is going to have tens of thousands of health instead of a million health, you know?
yeah, yeah. Uh, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes and how the developers of add-ons and the elite players work around the restrictions, which I've already been seeing some articles on that. Like you're not supposed to be able to. They took out the hooks to say I'm going to read the combat API defined to be able to just explain to my players through add-ons exactly what they're supposed to click on when, what mob they're supposed to CC when. However, add-ons can still do it in some ways, and mostly it's because there's timing that's going on. So they're like setting timers and scripted timers, and the add-on developers are just counting seconds and then saying, okay, well now CC this mob and now CC this mob, and still putting that on the nameplate and putting a marker on the nameplate that says, okay, CC this mob now. And it wasn't supposed to be possible, but of course it is in a lot of the fights. So we'll see how that works out. And if WoW or, if the WoW team tries to combat that at all, because that's really what they're trying to get around is the trivialization of the fights through add-ons so that they don't need to keep making the fights more and more complex in response to add-ons. They can just make
Right.
interesting fights.
Right. And they can continue to make them complex too. It's that they don't have to make them twitchier and twitchier and twitchier.
Right.
They don't have to make it so that if you don't move out of an area of effect, it's instantly fatal.
Right. Yeah. On the 26th, we're getting High Guard. That will be an interesting experiment in, are we actually going to play what we like and like what we play? Or are we not? So High Guard is a hero shooter. And because it's a hero shooter, we're going to see if that everybody hated at the Game Awards, if you weren't up to speed on that. So it's a hero shooter that everybody saw at the Game Awards at the final trailer, and they decided it's bad because it's not what we were hoping to see for one, and we're tired of hero shooters for two. We don't think we need another one. The people that actually looked at it for what it was, a lot of people said, yeah, but it kind of looks interesting. The gameplay kind of looks, and the shooting kind of looks interesting. Maybe it's actually going to be okay. Everybody's like, no, you're not allowed to like it. So we'll see on the 26th if people can get over themselves and actually evaluate it for what it is and whether or not it is actually good. It'll be fun to see. And then, I was talking about that Lost Isle. I still didn't see any kind of released date on that, which is a survival game that potentially up to 200 people can play on a server, which is a little more of what I want out of the genre of survival games that I want to play with friends, as opposed to Star Rupture, which I'll talk about today, which is another one that falls into the co-op category. That's not a multiple players playing on a server by themselves and having their own story. So yeah, I'm hoping we get more of the give me a server where a bunch of people can sort of like live independent lives in the world and then come together for bigger events.
Right. Or possibly even for an economy.
Right. Trade, sharing. We're doing a bunch of that in ARC, which I'll talk about at the end of the show. On February 18th, another one that I added, because this did catch my eye. We talked about it. I think it came up in either one of the Xbox Directs or one of the sets of trailers. Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. So what Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown is it's very much like we did a whole episode on the altars. It's a lot like the altars in terms of both gameplay and the mechanics of how you structure, sort of like building out the rooms inside of the Voyager spaceship, and the narrative of sort of like the flow of keeping track of all of your crew members and keeping track of their happiness. And then there's a story, which is you're trying to get through the Delta Quadrant and get yourself home. Very much like the structure and flow of the altars in that way, which I think is interesting. It's also a Polish studio that's making this game. It's not the same Polish studio that made the other game, but I wonder if they either traded notes or both got the idea from each other, just because some of the structure, like this part that they're showing here where you're arranging the rooms on the ship and in this side view, and then you could sort of like zoom in and go into the room and see what your crew members are doing in that room. That's very much like the altars and how the altars works, which I like. It was one of the few games that I played all the way through and completed last year, and I spoke highly of. I'm not super high on Voyager lore or story, but apparently this delves deeply into the lore and story of Voyager as well, in that you even get to make different decisions than what happened in the series at critical points. Like you encounter some alien species and the Voyager crew resolve the situation by doing X, and you potentially get to resolve the situation by doing something different and rewrite history. So they just put the words up there on the screen. Oh, I'm not even showing it. What the hell's wrong with me? Rewrite history. And that's interesting to me also, but not, that's interesting to me that they're doing that. It's not interesting to me because I don't even know what the history was, and I'm not up to speed on Voyager lore, so I won't know what I'm doing different than what they did. I watched some of Voyager. I didn't really.
I think this could be a popular game.
I think it could be. People like Star Trek. Need more Star Trek games.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of ship combat. It seems relatively simplistic. You know, it's got a lot of, the UI has a lot of feel of Star Trek Online to it, to me as well, which is interesting. And so does the ship combat. I'm getting that vibe. I wonder if they had a little bit of a collaboration there as well. Anyway, we'll see. That's on the coming soon, February 18th. All right. This podcast is brought to you by Garden and a Goat, the game that I've been working on for the past year or so. A lot in the past 2 days that have been frustrating me trying to navigate how to do loading screens correctly in Unreal Engine. And there's not a good way. You think it would be a built-in simple thing because every game needs to do it, but it's not make me angry. It's also brought to you by Alea Iacta Est, AIE-guild.org. That's the gaming community that Seema and I play with. We're doing some really fun things in Star Wars The Old Republic this week because it's what we call Total Galactic War. And we'll talk about that at the end of the show and what we've been playing as well. But that means that there's a sort of a big guild versus guild contest going on across many of the in-game planets that have been created, such that there's enough of those planets that gives a smaller guild like ours the opportunity to win one, and we have done that many times in the past. So everybody's coming together to get those points and get those challenges and try to win us a planet. So that'll be fun. This podcast is brought to you by all of you out there watching, listening, and in the chat room right now live. Thank you, Massey in the chat room, who is asking us to enunciate well, which I was trying to do. Sorry, I didn't respond to you live, but because they're coming in from France, and not necessarily from France, but they are French, which we have people from all over the planet that to tune into our show, which is super cool. I love that. So thank you. Thanks everybody who watches and listens MP3, listen on your Amazon Echo, wherever, whatever you want to do. I won't say her name because I know I light up everybody's. Alexa, play the SWTOR game. Oh, that's not the name of our podcast even. Alexa, stop. Alexa, play the new Overlords podcast and put it on permanent rotation. Okay. But thanks everybody. That is super cool. But right now we have a game that is just like another game, and we're going to talk about it.
There's strength in repetition. There's strength in repetition. There's strength in repetition. There's strength in repetition. There's strength.
Seema, is it bad if there's a game and somebody else makes a game like that game?
Repetition can be good. I don't know about, yeah. No, it's not necessarily bad. And also
No.
it happens.
Right.
It's like every time you call out something is being stolen from another game, that's just how it works, man. People, they're influenced by what they play
Right.
and what they see.
And we're not
And
condoning, like the crappy
no,
mobile
not
ripoffs
right. Don't
by any
steal
means.
assets or anything like that. But I mean,
It's a good idea. People like these games. Let's make more of them.
yeah.
I'm all for it. I think that's a great thing to do. So why are we talking about that in the context of Star Rupture? Star Rupture is very satisfactory like in a lot of ways. I'll talk a little bit about how and why, but I would bet that they don't deny the comparisons to Satisfactory at all, because it's seems quite inspired by or another game like that, with some differences which potentially make it as fun or more something to engage, or just a different way to engage in the same type of content and do it, because we don't just play one game forever for the rest of our lives. And just because we have Satisfactory doesn't mean we wouldn't want another Satisfactory. But it's not just complete Satisfactory by any means. So let me tell you, Seema, what this game is all about.
Oh, will you please tell me?
Can't wait. Get your popcorn. It's gonna be great.
Oh man, I want some popcorn now.
It is a factory automation game with a little bit more survival spin to it than Satisfactory has. So Satisfactory really leans into the factory, and it's all about the factory and automation and setting up your inputs and outputs and your lines, and you must construct more pylons and building out your factory to the exclusion of pretty much all kind of other gameplay. Which isn't bad, because it's pure in that, and I think Satisfactory is an amazing game. It was one of my favorite games of 2 years ago or whenever it came out, and I would still go back and play it. In fact, now that I say that, I'm like, why haven't I started over and just gone back and did some more Satisfactory? One of the reasons could be because there are games like this which also satisfy that itch to build an interesting factory and have some efficiency and get your components and mine your resources and have lines of resources shuffled in and out. A lot of that exists in Star Rupture as well.
But when I listen to you talk about this, it also makes me think of Ark, which nobody calls that a factory game, but basically you're doing a similar thing when you're like making a new dinosaur and then growing it up to do a certain task, and then it could do it by itself and just keep making whatever you want it to make, and then it puts it where you want it to be put and all that stuff.
That idea of efficiently building and crafting, I get into that in lots of games. A lot of building, crafting, survival games. There's much less automation in most building, survival, crafting games than there would be in a factory automation game. In a factory automation game, you're kind of like setting up a factory line that runs infinitely. Whereas it's much more personal in something like Valheim or Ark, in that you're going to drive for more and more efficiency, but the mining is still a personal activity. You take your dino out there, it mines, and you bring back the resources and you decide what you're going to craft. And you're crafting many fewer things. Here you're crafting like thousands of things per minute. Whereas in like the survival crafting games, you're crafting one thing. The next weapon you need or the next armor set you need.
Right.
So the whole deal with the automation is in here, you're taking on contracts from corporations, and to fulfill those contracts, they're going to ask for something like, give us 10,000 titanium widgets. You go, okay, I got to make 10,000 titanium widgets. So let me find a source of raw titanium. Let me build some smelters. Let me build a manufacturing line that cranks out the sub widget, which goes and then gets assembled by an assembler into another, the finished widget. And then from that machine gets piped directly into the orbital uplink rocket. And when it fills up, it launches automatically. So once you like set up the line and let it run, you can basically, step back, put up your, fold your arms and watch all the machines whir until it's all done, which is part of the fun. And making it more and more efficient is part of the fun as well. But that's what this game is. And if that sounds a lot like Satisfactory, it is. In Satisfactory, you're doing it all in service of a core narrative of you're building this thing in the sky. And at the beginning of the game, you don't even know what the thing in the sky is. It kind of looks like a space station. Here, it's much more tactical in that you're a convict and you get to pick a class. And I picked a class randomly. I picked the engineer. It was like engineer, scientist, warrior, and something else. I forgot what it is. I don't know how that affects the game at all. And I couldn't tell that it affected the game at all, but maybe it does. But then you wake up and it says, welcome, you're unfrozen from cryo, convict. Welcome to the planet. You are now equipped to serve the corporation and work for your freedom. So that's the kind of concept, is you're kind of like working for your freedom. I think there is an end in that you can accumulate enough of whatever to get your freedom, but I didn't get that far to see exactly what that end game looked like. But this isn't like an infinite efficiency, which you can kind of do in Satisfactory, and maybe you can do it here too. But at the end of Satisfactory, you can have like a super efficient, where you're like almost consuming all the resources on the planet to generate enough of a ticking counter just to see how high you can make the number go. So maybe you can do that here, but this seems more in service of getting yourself to the end game. But it's got a lot of depth as well. The building mechanics work a little bit different than Satisfactory in that everything seems like one click less complex than Satisfactory. Like power generation is less complex, and connecting power to your machines is less complex. In Satisfactory, you need to actually run wires and towers of wires and switches and wire together all of your machines. In here, as long as you're connected by the platforms that you're building on, the machines get power. As long as the platforms touch between the building and the power cell and the machine that you're powering. So that's cool. Some of that kind of simplification can feel good, I think, in that it might feel just one layer less of complexity that maybe feels like it maybe even respects your time a little bit more. But not that the people that are sort of deep into just the automation gameplay probably still appreciate in Satisfactory. So I'm not saying it's bad how Satisfactory does it by any means. The other thing that this gives you is a little bit more focus on exploration and reasons to explore. The only reason to sort of like explore in Satisfactory is to get additional locations for resources, and a couple rare resources that you're picking up, like the alien goo elements. Here, if you want to create different, sort of like the next tier of equipment or products, some of the corporation missions will give you them as rewards. Others you need to go and seek out in the world. There was a little bit of that in Satisfactory, but much, much less. It was just basically efficiency recipes. Here, you need to go explore and like go to a set of ruins and find a blueprint before you're able to make use of it. There's also a little bit more combat, and that combat is fighting mobs out in the world. It's relatively simplistic, but a layer in Star Rupture more than it was in Satisfactory. So Satisfactory had a couple sort of like alien creatures that might be around and might bother you. Here, you might have waves of alien creatures that you need to shoot with a pretty effective set of weapons. It's not super combat focused from what I understand, and I didn't get to too much of it, but it's there. And then the other thing is it's a little bit more survivally too. Like you have water and food, and in the early game especially, you do have to worry about water and food. By late game, you can automate it quite a bit and stockpile. But then as you're going out and exploring, you still need to think about it and make sure you're bringing in the right amounts of water and food to sustain you, and maybe set up in your outpost and things like that. So yeah, little bit different in those elements.
So for you, does that make it more fun or less fun that you have to bring food and plan for food?
I think a lot of people hate that, but I don't mind it. I think that little bit of friction is okay. And yeah, no, I think it's fine. Which then what I thought you were going to ask is this, like everything I've talked about, is it more fun or less fun than Satisfactory? And I would say it's to answer to that question is just a little bit different. And those differences, I think, are to be celebrated in both of them. So I like both of them then for what they bring to the table. In Satisfactory, the depth of just the pure automation is really nice. Here, the extra elements of a little bit more flexibility in choosing my missions, a little bit more on the exploration and discovery and those kinds of elements, and then a little bit more on the survival. That's fun too, and that's a thing I really get into. The one extra bit which I didn't mention is what is the namesake of the game, the Star Rupture. So once in a while, a thing happens which is called the star. The star, it ruptures, and basically that causes at random times, and you don't know when it's going to be, the star has some sort of nova event that scorches the entire surface of the planet. And when that happens, you better be indoors or you die. So if you're out exploring, you need to be prepared for that. If you're working at your base, you need to be prepared for it. You got to go run inside. If you're playing co-op, you need to make sure your friend is, you get inside before your friend does so that you have time to remove the door so they can't get in. I think one of the videos said that. And you get to watch them burn up outside. Stuff like that. It plays a little bit into the world as well. It scorches the surface of the planet, but all the plants grow back, and that also regenerates some things. It also burns away some of like roots and plants that are in certain areas, which open up caves temporarily that you can go get into and explore before they grow back. So the whole idea of the Star Rupture, that's another of those kinds of mechanics that in survival games, a lot of people sometimes don't like. And however, it's a kind of mechanic that I tend to like, which is the invasion, the attacks, the friction, I'm in the mines of Moria, and if I do too many things, then the goblins and orcs come and hear me and come attack me.
Right. They notice you.
Right. The eye indicator on the screen gets more and more full, and once you get noticed, then they come in to get you. I don't mind that. I like that. I like that bit, that sort of diegetic bit of friction. So yeah, be ready for those star ruptures. Be ready to go protect yourself. Jump into protection. Yeah. So this is developed by Creepy Jar, who made Green Hell. Green Hell is a highly touted, a highly respected survival game. I never played it, but it's on my list. I keep meaning to play it. It's supposed to be really focused on the survival aspect of like survive in a jungle and oops, you stepped on a stick. Now you have an infection. You better cure that in the next 30 seconds or your foot's going to get gangrene and now you're dead. All those kind of like little, a little bit more realistic on the real intricate elements of survival in the wilderness, in a dangerous wilderness. It's also $15 right now for the next week. It's in early access, and it's launch discount off of $20. Early access, and you had a good question on this, Seema. What was your question on early access?
I mean, it's how early access is it?
Right.
Like, is it a fully fleshed out game that needs some work, or is it just a piece of a game?
Right. And that's right. You were talking about it in the context of Ashes of Creation.
Right.
Which we speculated when we've been talking about it in the past 6 months or 3 months when they decided to go to Steam. Are they going to wreck it? They're going to wreck things for all of us in putting their really unfinished game onto Steam as quote unquote early access when it's clearly unfinished. It's alpha. This, just to answer the question initially, before I rant about other things, this is early access in the good way. It's a complete game. It's a complete product, yet they have a lot of plans of things they'd like to add, more areas to explore, more things to build, more machines and more weapons. But it's a very complete game, and it seems relatively high quality. I didn't notice many bugs. I haven't heard many people saying that there's many bugs. It's very positive reviews and ratings on Steam. It's the way early access is supposed to work in my view. So they're doing okay. So good job them. It is not the kind of early access, which is we've now decided that we're just going to put whatever we've got because we want to involve the community in our development and make them pay to be involved, which I don't approve of. So, that's Star Rupture. I recommend it if you like Satisfactory. I bet you're going to like it. If you love only Satisfactory, then you probably won't because it's going to be close. You're going to notice the differences, and you might say then, this isn't like Satisfactory. But no one listening to our podcast would ever talk like that. Yeah, it's good. It's looking pretty good. So
I'm glad you described what a Star Rupture was, because those two words, I mean, just like it was so hard to remember the name of this game. I think it'll be easier now.
Yes, it would. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They said it. They said the name. It's a Star Rupture. As opposed to Star's Reach, which is also of interest this year, but probably is not going to be out this year, which is the game the MMO that's in development with a lot of sort of like procedural, multiplayer shared world procedural transformation of those worlds. Anyway, that's Star Rupture. Go check it out if you're interested in that. But we've been playing a bunch of other things too, haven't we, Seema?
Yeah.
Tell me about your stuff in WoW and dungeons and the affixes that are being invented for you. That is such a cool idea.
Yeah, so in our in retail WoW and our raid team, since we're between seasons right now, our one of the things that our raid leader has done in the past, and he's doing again right now, is he has like this multi-week sort of competition thing where we start a new character. He tells us what we have to start. Each person gets their own assignment. Like I had to make a devastation evoker, and so I roll that up, and the first night we just leveled everyone to 20, and then the next night we meet and we did a bunch of dungeons, and for each dungeon we had certain rules that we had to follow. Like we could only have we're starting with just pretty much the gear that you get in the dungeon. Like you have to take off all the gear you got leveling, but you can keep a weapon and a trinket from heirlooms and one other heirloom piece. But aside from that, the only gear you get is what you pick up in the dungeon.
That's also
then
cool.
after we done then after we'd done a couple of dungeons, we got an affix, which the first one was um, you can't touch your keyboard for the duration of the dungeon. So that affected some people more than others because, like, I personally am kind of a keybind person, but I also have my UI set out that I just know where everything is. So it was weird to click, like click an ability and then click the mob or whatever. But yeah, some people that was just like could not be done. And then the next one was even worse for some people, which was you had to turn off all your add-ons.
Oh,
So people that had their whole UI done with add-ons were completely maloriented, right?
right. Lost a
My
little bit.
my favorite line from that was like one of the guys on my team said after we were able to turn add-ons back on, he goes, he just hit the enable all add-ons. He goes, I turned my add-ons back on and now I have 9 health bars. So
Exactly.
again, that was one that didn't affect me that much because I do run a number of add-ons, but they're not ones that move the UI around a lot. So, because I would suffer, because I'm a player, I like my things the way I set them up, and when they're moved around, it's discombobulating.
I've
But
gotten
like
to
people
in
who,
WoW in trying to get away from the
yes,
the over customization because add-ons tend to break and then I get back in there and they don't work anyway and I just want to play. So,
yes. So this week our task is to level up to 31. So during our little dungeons, we got up to like 25, 26. So I need to log in sometime this week and get a few more levels on that character. And then Saturday we'll do more dungeons. I don't know what he has planned for us though, but
hmm,
we'll be in the same teams. So we're the same teams throughout the whole thing. And he's keeping track of some kind of point system at the end. The winner will get some, I think he said it was going to be a semi-useless thing.
I approve of that. A
Yes,
Rhodian mayo sandwich.
right. So that was in retail. And also in retail is Remix, which is like technically in retail, but you're in your own little world, or Remix is his own little world. I did this thing where I um, finished off the Legion Order Hall campaign for a couple of characters, and I think I'm pretty much done with Legion. I've bought everything that I want to buy. I still have 1,000,000 bronze, which is the currency that you earn in
Oh,
Remix to buy other things. So, and I have a bag full of like stuff to um you sort of disenchant them into bronze, and I'm like, I might not even do that because that's a lot of clicking, and I don't know what I would do with the bronze. You know what I could do is I could go buy multiples of the decorations, because like once you earn a decoration, and this I think this is true of all the decorations, even in retail and everything. Once you earn it through an achievement, if it's the kind that you earn through an achievement, then you can actually buy it more of it on a vendor somewhere.
got it.
So I could
Yeah.
go to the deco vendor in Remix and spend all the rest of my bronze getting copies of things.
Right.
But partially the theme is all this like fell green smoking demonic stuff. That's kind of
Yeah.
think I want that in my house either. Anyway,
Yeah. I
not
guess there's
everything,
that.
but a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm leading up to is I'm okay with Remix ending soon, which it is.
Yes. 6 days. Get in there, spend your currency. I don't even know if I'm going to log in and spend any of my currency. I leveled up to level cap and stopped immediately after that. So I probably
Right.
have some kind of uh currency sitting around there, but not much else besides that.
Also, I just mentioned too, like in AIE, uh, notably Fez, but other players too have been who've played their remix enough so that they have everything totally maxed out, which means they're the sort of super over player that can like solo mythic raids. Soloing a mythic raid, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But even so, like the Mythic Plus dungeons up to like a plus 40 are offering to take people through. So if you've been playing, you're listening and you've been playing Remix and you wish you could get those last few achievements, go to the WoW retail channel in the AIE Discord and just put it out there, and I'm sure someone will go, "Yeah, I can run you through that."
Yeah. Cool. That's so cool that happens. And that's a big kind of AI thing.
Right.
That's which is nice. And if your gaming community doesn't do that, start it up because that's what gaming
Yeah,
communities are for. That's a really
that's right.
cool concept.
Yeah, start it up is a good point.
Yeah. Or come join ours. Cool. You know what? You know what I've been doing?
Playing
Dinosaurs.
Ark.
We're gonna
Yes.
talk about Star Wars in just a second too, but
I want to hear how Ark is like satisfactory.
Ark is not like satisfactory. Ark is dinos, man, and some cool dinos. So we've been playing the new map and new content, new expansion called Lost Colony, which is in Antarctica and leans much more heavily into characters and lore and story than Ark ever has before. So there's like a big
And it's a pretty hostile environment, right? So would it be
yes.
fair to say it leans more into survival as well?
Yes, yes. Although there's been other hostile environments like Scorched Earth
That's
was very
true.
hot. This one happens to be very cold.
I
Um,
remember I remember that you died a lot in that scorched one.
yes. There's the first day in Scorched Earth, I think in the first half hour, I died like 8 times just trying to get to shade and but that's fine. That's live, die, repeat is the kind of the theme.
Yeah.
If you like watch some of like the live action Arc trailers that ever been out. That's basically what's happening. The guy like wakes up on the beach and immediately gets eaten by a raptor. And he wakes up again and now he's like does the next thing and then dies. But each time you get stronger and stronger. So plenty of that. The new map is kind of brutal. All the the creatures are more difficult. The survival is a little bit more tough. Everything wants to kill you even more than it ever has before. But it's cool. It's fun to have new stuff. I also am not as fond of the whole map, which is quite large, just being all snow, like snowy mountains. Whereas most of the other maps have multiple biomes within them. There'll be like the more warmer beach area, and then like snow in the north and that kind of thing. And then the player made maps, which the game developer made an official part of the game for some of the best of them. They'll even go further and basically have this bit of the map is like the Scorched Earth map, and this bit of the map is a cave that's like the Aberration map, and this bit of the map is a mountain that's like the snowy map. So they even go further that way. That I kind of like because you can pick and choose where you want to play that day, and when it's snowy and crappy outside, like it is right now in Chicago, I can go play somewhere warm. We've done a really nice thing though. Our one of the leads in our guild and helps out with the new Overlords community is Nazrai. He's actually hosting what's called a cluster. And so these are private maps that only we and, you guys could come, anybody listening to this could come play too. But in the new Overlords Discord, we've got like probably about 8 people who are playing right now. And we've connected, right now we've got 4 maps that are loaded because we added another one. So we've got this new one, Lost Colony. We've got the original, The Island, where we've got our main bases. We've got Ragnarok, and we've got Scorched Earth, which we just turned back on. You can connect them all in such a way that you can go to this pylon in the game and transfer to the other server and bring stuff with you and go back and forth. So that's been fun to do. And because we're continuing our game in that way, I'm getting further than I have in the past. I did start Lost Colony from scratch at 0 with a brand new character. And then when I felt like I had played enough of that, 0 to hero game, which I really like to do, I transferred my old character over, took ownership of everything that my new character had, and now played it through as my old original advanced character, which was able to do some more advanced stuff, including this past week, we did get a group of us together. We have a relatively advanced player that's been playing, Nepthen, who's been playing pretty regularly for the past year when a lot of us had stopped playing, to the point where he's gotten some really high level dinos. He's done a lot of the more of the end game stuff that we did. He actually organized a fight to kill some of the top fights in the original island map, which is the Alpha Dragon and the Alpha Overseer, which is kind of like the end meta fight. So what's on the screen right now is the Alpha Dragon fight, and we did it. So I got a chance to finally do the Alpha Dragon. I've killed the dragon before, but not Alpha Dragon, and I've killed the Overseer before, but not Alpha Overseer. So that unlocks a couple special pieces of advanced technology. Not a ton, but a couple things that are sort of change the game a little bit, like teleporters, which allow you to build a teleporter and teleport around the map. Or build a pylon that allows you to transfer servers, but build one that's personal in your base. So we can now do some more of those advanced things. And I think we're going to do that again a couple times, which is nice. So that was pretty fun. It was pretty fun to finally get those big boss things down. And then now it's been fun to sort of get into the end game of what Lost Colony brings to the table, which is like there's a big new dinosaur called the Ostodon, and it's like the new T-Rex. Where it's very hard to tame, and it's very hard to, get high level ones. So we've been working on that and like coming together and trading stats so we can breed a bigger version of it. And so I had one that had high health. Nepthen found one that had high melee, and now we've put those together, and now we've got like a starting point to have this new set of new kind of high level end game dinos that we're going to be able to do fights with. So that sharing, while we're each kind of like playing our own solo game and building up our own solo bases. I built this really cool base inside of some ruins in the game. We get to like trade and help each other out and come rescue someone when they've, lost they got killed. And that's the way I like to play these kind of survival games. And that's why I'm looking for more that are like this, such that you can play together, but you can also play separately, so that people that progress at different rates can still have fun, and it doesn't feel like somebody else is taking doing all the fun things without you.
Right. It's like, it's like perfect between like massively multiple and co-op.
Yeah, exactly. And it does feel like everything I'd want out of a MMO, because there's persistence, there's a quote unquote bunch of players, but it's all the players that I care about. But as long as it's a few other players, I get the MMO feel, because I don't care what some rando showing some rando my armor in Stormwind, but like if Seema's in Stormwind, even if it was just Seema, then I could show her, hey, look at this cool armor, and that's what I like. I like a persistent world, and I like to share things and show off stuff and trade items.
Right.
So this is this the future of MMOs? In a way, I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it. Not necessarily specifically survival versions of them, but persistent world and a reason for there to be other players. But you can also progress your own story. Yeah, for sure.
We're also leaning in just a little bit more lately into a couple add-ons. Not a lot, but we've got an add-on that replaces the cryopods, which is a way you can sort of like freeze a dino and keep it in your pocket like a Pokeball. We've got a more advanced version of that, which is a third-party add-on, which gives a little quality of life built into that. And then there's another one that allows makes transferring inventory a little bit easier. Couple things like that. And then we're experimenting with one that makes the chance of mutating a dinosaur, which is important to sort of like the end game breeding of dinosaurs, that makes that easier too. So, all right, enough about Ark. We'll be continuing to play that, see how far we get in the end game of Lost Colony, which, as I said, is cool because there's like an overseer character, and he's got a city, and there's NPCs, and you can like get NPCs that then come live on your base with you, and you need to sort of like assault the city at different times. Much different than Ark has had before, but we're not into that yet, so we'll keep you updated. What we are into is Total Galactic War.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us, Seema. Tell us about Total Galactic War. We've explained it in the past, but
Yeah, it
we're doing
happens
it.
every few months, and when it comes up, it's usually kind of sudden. But we've been watching for it this time. So basically, it's your guild invades a planet, and if you make the most points of any other guild on that planet, I mean, in your gameplay throughout the week, then you quote unquote win that planet.
Yep.
So it's a very simple game. Um, the tough part we haven't done yet is deciding which planet, which is a strategic and tactical decision. Yeah, so we gotta pick the right one. So we need to pick a planet that doesn't have one of the mega guilds on it.
Right.
That's plus we have to pick a planet, or we want to pick a planet that we haven't actually won before, which is getting to be a smaller and smaller number.
Yes.
So that's part of the strategy of it. But then you may be asking, what do you mean points, Seema? Well, points, we get conquest points for just about any type of activity in the game. So basically, it's just to play smart. Use crafting at least once every day. Give gifts to your companions, but basically play the game. You get more points when you group up. So throughout the week, we'll be doing more group stuff than we normally do. We'll crop up in chat. For instance, Dask is doing Star Fortresses tonight. Star Fortresses is a lot of points.
Yeah. And a fun sort of mini group content. It's like a 4-person
Yeah.
groups. It's kind of like a little
Yeah.
mini dungeon. And not even
in
that
fact,
many. It's like a dungeon.
I don't even know people who do Star Fortresses other than during Total Galactic War. They
Which
probably are out there, but
Yeah.
I don't know them.
But it is basically a like a dungeon-like content, and there's
Yeah,
decorations
it
and
is.
stuff that drop in them, and there's reasons to
Yeah.
do it, but you forget. It's one of those bits
Right.
of content that you forget are in the game,
And
kind
you
of, I think.
can solo them, but it's just so much more. There's so many more points for the time invested if you group up.
Yes. And that's the point of the way that Stask and the team are organizing Total Galactic War is around how can we get groups of people to get the most points in the shortest amount of time possible. That's a good example of an activity that you can do together to get everybody more points. Stronger together, Seema. We're stronger together.
Yes.
Maybe
Stats is always saying teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes. Maybe the planet we won is the friends we made along the way or something like that.
Yes. It certainly is for me.
Maybe the war is the friends we killed along the way. Yeah, so we'll be doing that this week. We'll see how we finish out the end of the week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do Star Fortresses with the team tonight. I got to get that load screen done for our game, so we'll see. And then
One of the ways I'm working on points this week is I started up a new Jedi character on Tython, and I realized it's been a while since I've gone through this stuff on Tython, because I was like, wait, where is this rune again? I see it on the map. How do I get there? I'm like, really? You can't remember?
I do have a commando queued up at level 10, which is the level you start getting conquest points ready to go.
Yeah.
Because leveling up from, 10 to max level, or especially like the first 30 levels, is a really fast way to get a lot of points. So that's usually what I do, usually the way I go about it.
Yes, I have 2 other characters that are ready to go to their level 9, but I wanted to level this character because throughout, I think actually Star Wars: The Old Republic is where I first came up with the name Seema, so that was my OG use of Seema, but through server consolidations, I lost that name early on. And recently, like in the last few months, they released some names that weren't being actively used, and so I got my name back.
Yeah.
And that is the character I'm leveling this week for Total Galactic War.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. But you won't be doing Star Fortresses tonight either, though, will you, Seema?
No, I can't do it tonight.
You've got something else you got to do, don't you? Another game night.
I do. I'm playing, well, actually, I don't know if you even know this, but I'm having another session for Sunderfolk
I do
tonight.
know it because I have a bullet that says it right there in our show notes.
Oh, okay. I don't remember mentioning that.
You did.
But okay. Sunderfolk is very social and it's a lot of fun. And I'm loving it because it's an opportunity for me to play with a friend of mine that I almost never get to play with these days. So it's really good.
So you did describe it a little bit last week. Are you guys this week going to be continuing your game from last week then?
Yeah, yeah, I think
Okay.
so because um there it's it's intuitive how you play, but I mean, now we have time invested in these characters and, we want to keep moving forward and find out what happens.
But that's fun to hear because
Yeah.
the idea that, you've got the little D&D style battles that are going on and that kind of thing. But then there's
Yeah.
it gets tied together because you have like a town or a base or something that you're kind of like building up
Yeah,
then as
they're
you go? How's
yeah, they're so it's yes, it's not really building up. Um it's a town and it has merchants and everything, so you can upgrade the merchants. So for instance, there's a merchant that sells trinkets. If you upgrade that merchant, then they sell better trinkets.
got it. Got it.
And then there's the smithy has been shut down completely, so you have to get the smithy back in business and then he can make weapons for you. Stuff
Got
like
it.
that.
Excellent. 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 Yeah, that's
And then
cool.
there's the whole story. Like the story is that, you know, the ogres are, threatening the village and we have to go out on missions to and we most recently killed the ogre queen.
Ooh, really? Already?
Yes,
You guys are badasses.
I think there's going to be another I think she might turn out to have been a minor boss. But she sounds
Oh,
like a major boss. But yes.
yeah.
So as you can see in some of these pictures, there's that bright, um, stone. That's called
Crystal,
the bright stone. Yeah. And so part of it is like struggling over keeping that thing healthy. And then there's something called Shadowstone, which when the bad guys are empowered by Shadowstone, they have higher health and more abilities. And
like when the
uh,
Skeksis come and they get a shard of
yes.
dark crystal and yep, I know.
Yes. But one thing I really love about it too is like you see the cards coming up. It's like when I play a card, it means I've chosen that ability. Then we all see it, so you can say, let's move over here and move over there. Then you can get this guy and that guy. Or they can say, wait, don't you have a card that has a jump on it? Like back up and get that other card, So it's like a group. I mean, just like
Yeah,
D&D, really. A
right.
group to kind of can decide. Or you can just do your own thing too. Like you could just throw your card out there and do your thing. And like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I do. I want to play this, and I almost did around the holidays. I had a little trouble convincing, like one of my daughters, like, "Oh, I'm really bad at these kind of games," and I need to explain again. It's like, no, we all get to kind of like play together, and you're not even having to make decisions on your own. So we'll all kind of say, "Oh, look, what abilities does each of us have?" And okay, well, what is your character going to do? And oh, cool, cool, cool. So you're this goat. You're not the goat person. What did you say your character was? Some little thing?
I said ferret, but really that's wrong. It's a salamander.
I think I just saw a picture of one in that
Yeah,
group
yeah.
page. Yeah, cool, cool. All right. Well, you'll have to tell us if you know the goat queen was only the beginning, and now go the ogre queen. Now we've got the ogre king,
And
but
the ogres,
he
they don't look
was
anything
controlled
like
by the uber darkness. Yeah,
the ogres look more like murlocs than my picture of an ogre, but that's okay.
yeah. I think some of the trailers showed like the ogres waiting in the shadows, overlooking the town, threateningly, glaring. Exactly. Cool, 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 cool. Well, enjoy that. We'll also then be getting back together by the end of the week. I'm sure I'll be doing more on the weekend, especially in Total Galactic War. I will be doing more in ARC, and I will be doing more in game development. So jump in our Discord server if you want to ask me questions about that. I won't talk about it here anymore because everybody's tired of hearing me complain about how hard it is. But that's coming up. I think we're honing in on the first week in March for open beta for our game. So I'll talk about more about that in
Sweet.
the coming weeks. All right. I think
Can't wait.
that's it for today, though. Anything else before we wrap up, Seema?
Nope.
All right, then.
Come
For
play with
us, all the feed and subscribe links are on newoverlords.com. And our video is up on YouTube/newoverlords. Please come chat with us in our Discord at newoverlords.com/Discord. You can also follow on all the social networks, and we'll keep you up to date there, too. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.